background here, and I'm going to invite you to pop up. And so are some of your library colleagues. Sarah and Jennifer, I think, are both in the background.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
So let me introduce this next session, if I may. The challenge of connecting in the way that we're being urged to connect, as our economy calls for new ways of interacting with one another, seeing with one another, transitioning, following your passion through multiple jobs, et cetera. Those, just to take one thread, right, that's characteristic of the current economy that has implications for education. You wonder how all that connecting and all of those, all of that training and transitioning is going to happen, and what are the infrastructures, the technical infrastructures and the social infrastructures that support that? Call it a new generation, really, of connecting. There's nothing new under the sun, but there's perhaps an emphasis now is new. And this session is really designed to talk about that. And I'm going to turn it over to Lex Dennis. Lex was formerly, as some of you will now recognize, even if you didn't know them before, he was an NFocus fellow here, first an intern actually, and then a fellow, and then one of the senior management at NFocus before he took on this project for the Drucker Institute, for whom he now works. Lex, I'm going to let you say more about Bendable yourself. You're the expert. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and thanks to everybody for being with us. This is a weird time, and I think everybody's adjusting, and so I'm happy that you all could join, and hopefully more can see the webinar afterwards. If you don't mind, I'm going to commandeer the screen for a little bit just to run through my presentation here. I will mute my own video and share my screen. Just give me 1 second here.
You bet.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, so you can all see my emails. Don't look too closely. Can you see? You can see this now, the slide deck?
We can.
Okay, awesome. So I'll jump in here. As Tom said, my name is Lex Dennis, and I work for the Drucker Institute. And I'm here to speak about Bendable, which is a lifelong learning platform designed to create a connected community of learners who are really more resilient for the present and the future. I'm going to give you a live demo of the real app, Bendable. We're very close to being finished, and it's super exciting. But before we dive in, I want to provide some backdrop for how Bendable came to be. First, I'd like to speak about the why of Bendable. From a super high level, the idea came from the Drucker Institute's mission, which is strengthening organizations to strengthen society. Historically, we've had great success at the first part of that mission, working with a combination of private companies, not-for-profits, public entities, to translate Peter Drucker's teachings into tools for effectiveness. However, the second half of that mission, strengthening societies, was where Bendable was truly born. We felt that we were meeting that mission, and specifically that second part of the mission, but it was hard to articulate and measure how we were strengthening society. So we decided to focus on one city, which is kind of the smallest unit of society, right? And pull on a singular thread that stood the chance of truly making a meaningful impact on everybody in the community, which was learning. In addition to the missional aspect of Bendable, we know that the nature of work is changing rapidly, right? This statistic is one that I'm sure that many of you are aware of, and it's a scary one. By this year, 65% of jobs will require some form of post-secondary achievement, and only 46% of adults in the US have hit that mark. And it's even smaller number here in our region. I think it's less than 40%. Even more unsettling maybe to professionals and white-collar workers like ourselves is a recent McKinsey report that shows that 60% of all jobs will change because of technology. So it's not just the automation boogeyman coming for our manufacturing and retail jobs. All of us will be affected by this. And without tools to upskill, communities will quickly fall behind on the national and global competition we find ourselves in. So like any dutiful Drucker Institute employee, I have to turn back to the source, Peter Drucker himself. Drucker said, if knowledge isn't challenged to grow, it disappears fast. It's infinitely more perishable than any other resource we've ever had. And perhaps, as he once put it more pointedly, if you think training is expensive, try ignorance. Given all these factors, one thing became clear to us. To be resilient in the face of socioeconomic change, we must all keep learning. So how do we go about designing Bendable? We knew that in order for Bendable to be successful, it must equip and empower residents to learn, build confidence, and be recognized for their progress. To do so, the platform will make customized recommendations from a well-curated set of learning content and support resources that align with user needs. And above all, the platform has to be radically accessible so that the single mom struggling to make ends meet is just as at home as the Notre Dame professor. So to actually make this work, we're working with a top flight content providers from across the country and across the community. We have a broad swath of digital learning content that will be available for free to all of our end users. So I want to repeat that. All digital content will be free to the end users. Certainly not free to the Drucker Institute, but it will be free to end users. Providers like edX, study.com, Penn Foster, just amongst a few others are represented up here on the screen. But we also know that digital is not enough. We're partnering with organizations like IUSB, Goodwill, Ivy Tech, and others to meet the need for in-demand or in-person training. Lastly, I should also note that Bendable isn't just a learn for work platform. One of our primary bets is that by bundling learn for work with learn for need and learn for passion, each of those things will contribute to each other and ultimately create that habit or cultivate that habit of lifelong learning. Also along for the journey are some world-class partners that have helped us to shape the vision for Bendable. The first I'll mention is the St. Joseph County Public Library, who you'll hear from after me. But they're going to be the local owners of Bendable once we've set up the platform. And their mission is lifelong learning. We really couldn't ask for a better partner for envisioning how Bendable could impact this community. We've also worked extensively with the design firm IDEO. Not sure if any of you have heard of them, but they're kind of a leader in the human-centered design space. And they helped us to design our user interface. But before that, they helped us to understand the community at a deep level to make sure that Bendable is meeting the need. We work with Carbon 5, a San Francisco-based software firm that they're actually developing the app. They developed Stitch Fix. Don't know if any of you have heard of that, but they're a top flight group out of San Francisco. Working with FSG, which is an evaluation firm. They're helping us to better understand our potential impact and how we might bake metrics into the platform from the outset in order to capture that impact. You know, it's easy for us to use workforce development statistics as a proxy for our work, but if Bendable is just that, we'll have missed the mark. And lastly, I would like to mention the badging organization we're working with, Credly. They're helping us to build micro-credentials into the platform that hold weight in the community. And we'll talk about those micro-credentials a little bit more later. So all these partners are stellar, but if no one uses the platform, a lot of hard work would be for nothing. So we turn to actual users to understand the needs and ensure Bendable added value to their everyday lives. With seed funding from Walmart and Google, we spent all of 2018 listening to residents to understand what they like to learn, how they like to learn, why they like to learn, all that good stuff. We spoke with over 2,000 residents, meeting them at churches, at work, and even at home to better understand their needs. In this way, we built Bendable with the community, not for it. Bendable will launch with something for everyone. We want the third grader trying to learn to code and Pete Buttigieg trying to learn Swahili or whatever he's onto now to both find Bendable useful. However, for the first version of the platform, we've homed in on a primary customer, working adults making between $8 and $18 per hour. We refer to this group as the center of the bullseye. If we can help make some of the most in need in our community resilient, we can be proud of what we accomplished. Now, with that being said, I have a special request for all of you. In a few minutes, I'm going to be showing you the real Bendable. And as I do, I want you to be thinking about how you as teachers could use this platform in the classroom and how your students might use it to advance their own interests, be they academic or otherwise. And this is, as we move forward in rolling out Bendable, this question will turn from a prompt in the webinar to an actual series of workshops that I'll be holding not just with teachers, but also with employers with librarians and other kind of community leaders. So that all brings us to Jennifer. Jennifer will be our guide through Bendable. She's actually a composite character, a blend of many of the people that we met in South Bend while we were conducting our research. She's 29 years old and she's a single mom. Her son, Isaac, is 5. She has a high school degree and went on to IUSB, but she had to leave after a year to take care of her mother, who has some health issues. Jennifer now works in retail as an assistant manager, earning about $11 an hour. And I should note that I've prepared this this presentation before the COVID really broke out, and so hopefully Jennifer would still be at work. Anyway, she's interested in finding a better job and a brighter future. She's good with her hands, and she's heard of the term advanced manufacturing a few times, and that intrigues her. When she can find a spare moment, which is pretty rare, she also likes painting and drawing. She's always been good at that. Jennifer's big challenges are that she's short on time, especially between taking care of her sick mother and her young son. She doesn't have much money to spare either, and she also doesn't think of herself as tech savvy. In fact, in many ways, she's kind of tech shy, even though she does have more than a few apps on her phone and loves playing mobile games when she's waiting to pick her kid up from kindergarten. On a recent Tuesday evening after dinner, as she does often, Jennifer takes Isaac to her neighborhood library branch for story time. There, as she walks in, a colorful brochure catches her eye. I am Bendable. I want to upskill for a new job, it says. She tosses it into her purse. Later that night, after she's put Isaac to sleep, Jennifer finally has a few minutes to herself. She settles on the couch, puts on the TV without really paying attention to what's on, and then, remembering the brochure, grabs her purse off the coffee table. Bendable seems kind of interesting, especially the get a better job part. She pulls out her cell phone and goes to the internet and connects to the Bendable.com address that's provided. This is what she sees. Her journey on Bendable is about to begin. Jennifer scrolls around a bit while the TV keeps rolling in the background. If Jennifer's anything like me, she's probably watching The Office for the 8th time, especially now that we're all bound to our couches. On the homepage, she notices a course on creativity. She views herself as a creative person and is interested in navigating the course. When she clicks on the course, she's prompted to create a login. Eager to get learning, she does so and continues on. She's taken to her course on creativity quickly and buzzes through the videos written content offered by GCF Global, one of Bendable's partners. Over an hour has raced by and she's already knocked out her first course on creativity. She'd love to return to Bendable and go deeper, but that's for another day. It's late now and she's exhausted. She has another early start in the morning, so she puts her phone away and heads to bed. A few days later, when Jennifer logs back into Bendable, she's ready to probe a little deeper and see what else she may learn. So now we're going to transition over to the actual Bendable site. So this is Bendable. It's been optimized for desktop, and we're going to conduct this next portion of the presentation in Bendable. This is me frenetically moving the arrow around. Sorry, I just want to prove that it's actually happening. Okay, so when Jennifer logs back in, she sees some people that look vaguely familiar to her. She swears she recognizes some of them from somewhere. As she scrolls down a bit, she sees content that's been recommended to her by Bendable. These will get smarter, these recommendations, as she sets preferences and lets Bendable know a little bit more about her. As she's scrolling, she sees a course that interests her, beat making. Times are tough, and music connects her to her son, Isaac. She clicks the bookmark icon, something that she's familiar with from some of her online sites, and continues to scroll down. She notices the library's logo under the Staff Picks and More Clicks section. She sees that there's a computer basics course at the German Township Library branch coming up. The Staff Picks and More Clicks section of the library is the library space to offer up their own events and other programming and combine it with resources that Bendable offers from its digital selection. She's certainly interested in the library events, but she's not done exploring yet, so she clicks on the Explore tab. She sees the search feature, but continues to scroll down to check out topics that Bendable is offering up for her. Ah, there's that word again, manufacturing. She immediately clicks this and finds what's called a career collection. Again, she bookmarks this as her window shopping isn't done, and she decides to come back later. She goes back to explore and continues to scroll through some of the topics that Bendable is offering up to her. She likes a lot of these, especially things like improve my everyday life or start my own business. But she remembers that course that she took on creativity and goes back here to the search feature and decides to search creativity. And there's that familiar face again, Kay. She knows this woman. She's seen Kay pretty frequently at one of the coffee shops downtown. They must be on the same caffeine schedule. She decides to click on Kay's collection. Now, in many ways, community collections are the soul of Bendable. They are learning playlists centered on a specific topic curated by individuals from all over South Bend. People can nominate themselves or others to produce a community collection. The library and Bendable team will then work with those residents who've been chosen to ensure that their collection is of high quality. Because they're made organically by the people of South Bend, community collections draw on all kinds of resources that are not officially part of the Bendable platform. Favorite books, podcasts, TED Talks, and so on. Collections reflect what people genuinely like and have learned from. In addition, each community collection also includes, wherever possible, a few other learning opportunities related to the topic at hand from Bendable's official content partners. So the community collection that's been served up here is made by local artist Kay Westhuse. And you can see a little intro by Kay and the ability to bookmark if you so choose. In Kay's collections, if you scroll down, you'll find a range of compelling learning resources. A professional development workshop for artists, a podcast for artists called Bad at Sports, a link to Onramps, the Indiana Arts Commission's accelerator for artists looking to rev up their business, and more. Now, as I scroll through this, I want you to imagine, again, how this could be used by teachers and students. Maybe we could see a community collection about using tech in the classroom, or maybe even how to effectively run a teleclassroom, which would be super helpful right about now. So we scroll down here to the bottom, you can see that under the heading Want More, Bendable is offering up some other resources. You can think about this section kind of like the You Might Also Like section of Amazon, but this is our chance to give people some content that Bendable thinks you may like based on your preferences and based on the collection itself. But again, Jennifer is still interested in window shopping, so she favorites a resource or two, like this Latitude Chicago Photo Lab or the Indiana Women's Caucus for Art, and continues on. She notices that as she favorited things, she gets a notification under the My Stuff tab. There's a lot to see here under My Stuff. She immediately clicks on Preferences and sees that she can begin to tell Bendable a little bit about herself. She reads through the list and clicks on a few preferences like learn about a job in manufacturing, sharpen my work skills, better understand technology, and improve my everyday life. With her preferences set, Bendable can begin to recommend content that Jennifer may like throughout the app, but most importantly on the homepage when you return. With these preferences set, she goes back to My Stuff to continue to exploring. And she notices that her bookmark section has a notification. She sees the courses that she favorited, including the career collection and a couple of the resources that she liked when she was poking around. This time, she decides to dive deeper on the career collection. Like community collections, career collections are also special learning playlists, but these are put together in partnership with local employers. They highlight career pathways for some of the most in-demand jobs in South Bend. This career collection in particular is put together with input from General Stamping and Metalworks, one of Bendable's great employer partners. As you can see, as we walk through here, career collections are organized to give Bendable learners different kinds of skills, like workplace skills. And you can think about these as soft skills and the like. So we see soft skills and creative problem solving. Foundational skills, these are skills that are essential to the job at hand. In this case, basic blueprint reading, industrial math. And technical skills, which are kind of exposure to the content of the job. There's also a section called Diving Deeper, where once you've completed your skill assignments, you're prompted to dive deeper and take the next step in your learning journey. In this case, getting a technical certificate in machine tool technology from Ivy Tech. As a learner like Jennifer successfully completes each course within a career collection, she'll receive credit for her hard work and earn micro-credentials or digital badges that mark her progress. Badges are basically skill-based recognition of work completed. And they're a new trend that's been cropping up. And the way that we think that we can make these valuable is by having employers buy in. And if she completes the entire collection, she'll then earn the Bendable CNC operator badge. And this is why it's so important to have a company like General Stamping and Metal work closely with us, because it kind of validates this list of courses as having true value. They've vetted these courses and selected them to prepare someone to enter their workforce. And we know that if GSM says that there's real world currency in what Jennifer has learned, other employers across South Bend are going to count that Bendable badges have real value as well. Again, think about how this could be applied for you. Is there a professional development collection that we could put together for teachers? What would that look like? How about for students, getting them started on pathways earlier? Just something to think about as we move towards the end of the presentation here. So Jennifer goes back to my stuff, and she goes to the in progress section. And here she can see the creativity course that she completed the first time she came to the app. But this time she noticed something a little bit different. This mark is finished box. She clicks it, and boy, does that green box feel good. She quickly goes back to the My Stuff page, noticing that she's got a notification, and navigates to the I finished this section. She can see that in the I finished this section, the creativity course appears as finished. She's excited to see her progress over time. And I should note that for resources not included within career collections, this is our way of people marking their progress over time. And as we go back to my stuff, we can see that in the gallery, people are collecting achievements as they complete resources and navigate the app. So in this instance, Jennifer has Forward Thinker for bookmarking 3 or more resources, Self-Starter for completing at least 1 learning preference, and then also Passionate Learner, returning to Bendable at least 3 times in a week. But in this demo, she's only returned 2, but I think my prep work might have tipped us off to returning 3 times in a week. So finally, I should also note, actually, before I move on from this, is that this will also be where our our badges are stored. So these achievements are for doing things within the app, and then the badges are for completing career collection. So that's also where the gallery will come in handy as the kind of container for those badges. Lastly, Jennifer clicks over on the More tab. And I won't go into super detail here, just because we're a little bit short on time. But this tab is kind of like an FAQ, and it'll help people navigate both the app and also the community. And you can log out too. So while Jennifer is excited by Bendable.com, I can say as Lex that it's super exciting for me to see the platform come to life as a real digital product. We've been working since fall of 2017 to develop this platform, and we're super close to being finished. I would say the biggest thing left is to make all the content real in the platform, meaning that working with our providers to get their courses, curate them into lists that make sense for our users and for the community, and then putting them into the app. And we're close. We have, I think, around 1,100 or so resources in the app already, and we're just kind of polishing that. So we're getting super close. So just real quickly here to end, I want to note that we learned in our research that for many residents in South Bend, trust has been broken between the learner and traditional learning institutions. And this system is all about helping to instill that trust back between Bendable and South Bend residents. And we want people in South Bend to imagine themselves as users of Bendable and as lifelong learners. You know, we're excited for launching Bendable in town in June. We had targeted best week ever for our launch. But, you know, with COVID-19, that's changed plans for everyone. And we're still planning to launch in June. We don't know if that'll have the best week ever, if that will still be happening. So, you know, things are up in the air like it is for all of us. But that's why we need input from users like teachers and students now more than ever. And could you imagine if we had Bendable now, we'd all be, on our sixth badge already with all this extra time we have. But even still, we can imagine South Bend to Washington bendable signage like this, and enticing learners to earn all kinds of cool swag from the library, like t-shirts, an awesome tote bag. And we have no doubt that Jennifer will be among them, reimagining herself as bendable and feeling empowered to decide what she wants to learn today. So with that, I will stop my screen share and I guess open it up for questions.
Thank you, Lex. Let me encourage everyone again to make access, you have access to the Q&A tool, which you can see at the bottom of your screen, I think. And then, of course, any questions can be dropped into the chat room as well. Let me also point out that when we finish today, we will run over a half hour. Whenever we finish, we'll run over a half an hour to make sure that we record questions, thoughts, everything. Lex, thank you for this. I'm going to lose time if I say how remarkable I think all this is, so I'm not going to lose it. Instead, I'm going to introduce some of your partners. Let me start with Sarah Maloney. Sarah, I think you're around. I've seen you.
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well, Sarah. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Sarah. I'll let you introduce your specific title at the library. I don't have it in front of me,
Sure.
but I know that it involves linking to Bendable, among other things.
Yeah, I'm not specifically the Bendable person, but I've been following it closely. I'm the manager of the Research and Technology Department at the library, which includes Studio 304, our digital media lab, and Jennifer Strombeck is here too, another Jennifer, but a much more technologically sophisticated Jennifer. And she works in the lab a lot, so she can tell you all about what we have there. But yeah, Bendable, we're excited because the library, really the essence of the library is a place that kind of collects resources for people to keep learning throughout their whole lives, kind of following their own interests. I think Bendable is really exciting because it lets people pick, what are they specifically interested in, and then the library can help, find those resources, keep them up to date, adding new ones, and then we also get to learn from what people are interested in. Then we can focus on providing more in that area. What are people in our community wanting to learn? So we're really excited and focusing on how we can incorporate that into what we already do and support it and make it a success. So thanks, Lex, for that rundown. It looks just so great and exciting.
You're very welcome.
So I think Jennifer Strombeck is going to share her screen and talk about Studio 304. So Jen, whenever you're ready and want to try that.
Sure, thanks, Sarah. So my name is Jennifer Strombeck. I'm the Digital Lab Library Assistant at St. Joseph Public Library. I think Sarah pretty much summed up our goals pretty well there. But I'm just going to talk a little bit more specifically about the lab. Our goal in the lab is to provide a safe and encouraging space where people can come in, create digital content, learn the software and equipment that we have available that can hopefully help them to express themselves and feel empowered in this kind of increasingly digital landscape. We think that many people have kind of a negative association with technology because they may have felt at some point in the past that they were forced to adapt to something that just on the surface just seemed really complicated and overwhelming. They might not have felt that they had any room to make mistakes, that any little mistake could potentially have catastrophic consequences. So we think it's really important that people of all ages, including adults, have kind of a space to experience technology in an environment where there's no pressure, no deadlines, no arbitrary assessment. It's just a place where you can fail and fail and fail, and that's fine. It's a natural part of learning, and you get to make cool stuff. So let me go ahead and get to my screen here. Hopefully you guys are getting that.
We do have it. Thank you.
Okay, great. It was a little laggy.
Sure.
Okay, so right now, Studio 304 is at our temporary branch at the Keller Park branch at 737 Beale Street. I'm really pleased to say that we're still offering all the same services that we had at Maine, and I'm really excited for when we return to Maine. We're going to have one of those new spaces that's being built from the ground up. So I'm really excited to see what improvements we can make to the services that we already provide, and hopefully have some new services as well. So right now at Keller Park, we have 3 recording rooms. We have 1 larger recording room that can accommodate 5 people, and 2 smaller recording rooms that can accommodate 3 people at a time. They each have a microphone, a MacBook that has Logic Pro, Audacity, and GarageBand as software for audio recording and editing. You can see this particular room has an MXL microphone that has kind of like that M-track interface. One of the other rooms also has like a Scarlett interface, and another room has a USB Snowball in that room. So we find that different patrons have different preferences, so it's kind of useful having different options for them. We have 3D printing. Our 3D printing service is 10 cents per gram. We encourage people to create their own designs at a free website called thingiverse.com. It's a great place to kind of just start from scratch. If you don't know anything about 3D modeling, you want to go ahead and just kind of learn how to, I don't know, make a cool little trinket. It's pretty easy to pick up. They have like little tutorials, and my 6-year-old son was able to make the tornado of his dreams. So it's really fun. It is a pretty slow process as far as like when people come in, sometimes they have a model and they're really excited to see it kind of like print in real time, but it's really slow. So it's kind of the equivalent of watching paint dry. So they're always free to just send us the files, and we can mock it up for them and let them know when it's ready to come pick up. That 3D printer there in the picture is our TAS Lelsbot 6, and then we also have a Prusa MK3. This is our Carvey 3D carving machine. It's kind of, I guess the 3D printers are what you would call like constructive manufacturing, where you're building from nothing up to whatever object you're trying to create. And this would be like more like destructive manufacturing, where you're taking a piece of material and you're cutting out what you want to create from it. So it's kind of just an alternate way of like creating something. This machine in particular has its own software that it uses, has its own software that it uses that's available for free at easel.inventables.com. This service is a free service if you bring in your own material. If we provide the material for you, then it's $5 for like a 1/2 inch plywood or 1/2 inch plastic. This is a kind of a wide shot of the lab itself. We have 4 workstations. Each workstation has either a drawing monitor or a tablet with an active stylus for doing kind of more detailed, more nuanced work. Each computer has the full Adobe Creative Cloud, so that includes your Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, Premiere Pro. I think there's probably about like 30 programs altogether, but those are our most popular there. Here's a close-up of our digital painting station. So this computer has our 27-inch Wacom Cintiq with a full version of Corel Painter installed. Here is our digitization stations. So this particular station does VHS conversion, audio cassette conversion, and vinyl conversion. This is a popular service among some of our older patrons. They just come in, and a lot of them might be a little nervous to even like right click and left click on the mouse, but they pick up on it pretty quick once you can just kind of show them how simple that it is, and that we're there and available to answer any little question that they have. They just, you know, raise their hand, or, you know, just look in our general direction. We'll come over and assist them. And this is our large format scanner. 14 by 17 inch. We have a little photo scanner there off to the left side that can quickly scan large stacks of photos. So it's really helpful for people who are trying to digitize like whole archives of like photo albums in a very short amount of time. And the other larger scanner is a lot slower, but it also can scan at 4800 DPI. And this is our 8mm Super 8 conversion. And kind of in a side room, we have our virtual reality gaming computer with the HTC Vive. We have a Steam account with probably about 32 games, I think. And they range from like educational to just kind of fun, to just kind of simulations, just kind of like experiences. So for those who have never tried virtual reality before, can have kind of a more gentle introduction where they kind of just passively can experience the technology. This is our plotter printer. It prints on 24-inch wide semi-gloss paper, and it's $5 per foot. And then we also have equipment that's available for checkout for 7 days, including DSLR cameras, accessories for the cameras like tripods and lenses, and more. We do have a full listing on our website. I don't want to go over each individual object since we're running low on time. I want to give time for questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jen.
Sarah, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. That was a great rundown. So these are all at the Keller Park branch right now, which is a Brown Intermediate School where we have a temporary setup. And eventually, when the main branch downtown reopens, this will all be at a brand new improved space downtown. For some things, you have to have a library card, like to use the recording studios. But for most things, like the 3D printers don't require any library card. The digitization stations generally don't need a library card unless you want to reserve your spot in advance. Creative Cloud, like Photoshop, doesn't need a library card. Checking out equipment, you would need a library card, but you can call us or email us and we'll get right back to you with any questions about using the lab. Jen also teaches classes. We've been doing classes every Wednesday. So for people to learn, they're free, of course.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Sarah and Jennifer, thank you for coming. We, of course, once had you scheduled in sort of the noontime catch-all session, but we thought that not only as a partner with Bendable, but as a host for a wide range of different kinds of technologies, and not only technologies, but really social organizations. This scratches the surface, obviously, of what the library does. Dan Walsh mentioned that the airport was kind of like a city a little while ago, and so is the library, right? Very much like a city. It's remarkable with this set of social, technical, literary resources that it draws together, and so actually is Bendable in another way, right? As a mesh in a way that sits over this very remarkable space that offers access, opens pathways to equity. There's so much you can say about the resources that you all offer. So for now, we'll just say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
You bet. Lex, thank you very much. We're going to move the conversation about Bendable, et cetera, as we'll have to, as we've had to all day, into the chat. This is remarkable. I don't know. There aren't enough words to say how remarkable it is that this new how shall we call it? It's a new paradigm in social learning, in blending of social technological resources. It's an incredible on-ramp, and it's being built right here in our backyard. And thank you, Lex, for your role in that.
You're welcome. I would just say two quick things, actually. One, I know that there's chatter in the chat about, how do we not lose Jennifers and the like? And I think that one of the things that we're focused on is kind of separating, destigmatizing learning and separating it from education. I think a lot of people, when they hear learning, they treat it like synonymous with education. Of course, people learn all the time. Jennifer learns how to cook new meals for her family, for instance, right? And we think that kind of the road back to traditional education is through learning, and not just learning for work or learning for, whatever math class, but learning in general, capital L learning. So that was one thing I just wanted to share in response to the comments. The other thing I would say is that I'll throw my email address into the chat. And if anybody has any questions or comments or thoughts, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you, Lex. We sure appreciate it. Lex, you made reference, and so have lots of other speakers, to the fact that we are in a different time now in some ways, right? Wouldn't it be great if we had this in everybody's hands today? And frankly, we're about to. We have we've kept in the corner, to really mix some metaphors here, we've kept in the corner the elephant in the room. Let me just do a quick check here. John Sonnenberg, I'd like to invite you to activate your video just so I know we're in contact. I'm about to introduce your session. Hey, John, thank you. Jennifer, thank you. And everybody else on that panel, if you could now show up, that'd be great.